All right, and welcome to another episode of the 27 podcast, joined once again by
Wesley?
and my friend,
Mosi.
Mosi. Welcome to the show.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me, bro. It's a blessing to be here, man. For real. It's a blessing.
It's a blessing to have you here.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to get right to it, but like I told you, I'm going to be asking you a question, and Wesley, feel free. I think I've asked you this before. So here's the question, all right?
All right.
You ready for this?
I'm ready, man.
So, if you had to, there was no way out of it, you were forced to do this, you had to take a bath, submerge yourself, scrub, do your hair and everything in a condiment of your choice,
You've not asked me this.
what would you choose?
And a condiment, bro?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm going to be pretty liberal on what I consider a condiment, so you can...
A condiment. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking to, like, ketchup or mustard?
Yeah, whatever you want, bro.
Oh, man. You know what? Probably some barbecue sauce.
Oh, barbecue
man.
sauce? Okay.
You know, it's got to be the honey flavored. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. What do you think? What do you got?
I went to relish. I don't even like relish, but
So here's like, I have a couple theories on this question.
why?
One...
That's one. No, one.
This is
Why?
why? So I feel like if you actually think about this question for a long time, you should probably come up with an answer of like a sauce that like doesn't make you gag. Like you're like,
Right.
I don't want to eat that. But also don't pick something that's gonna ruin it for you.
Right.
So like I also like barbecue sauce, but like here's the thing, it's gonna be really sticky.
That is true.
Right.
man.
See? Yeah. So
That is very true.
we've
These are
got-
things we don't think about. But see,
Yeah.
why are we taking a bath in condiments anyways?
well,
you know?
here's question part 2.
Okay.
This is like somebody opens
So-
the door and you go, I can explain.
But but that's why you're taking a bath because
But instead of walking in and you saying I can explain, they walk in with a platter of chicken nuggets. Now, question: do you dip the nuggets or no?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
you have the
Okay, all
opportunity.
right. Okay, some people are like, nah, because I'm like naked in it. But it's like, dude, if you get some sauce on your arm, lick it, right?
I'm also
Bro.
thinking this situation is you woke up and you're like, oh, you're right. Oh,
no,
there's
no.
nuggets. Like
You did on your own free will. Like
you
they sent you into the room.
See, I don't. I think I don't even have the memory of stepping into it. I just
Question
like
part
my
3.
kidneys are gone. I'm in a bath full of barbecue sauce.
All right. So question part 3. Let's say it wasn't forced. What amount of money would it take for you to do this voluntarily?
If I was actually gonna do it,
Yeah, if you're actually gonna do it.
man, I do it for $5.
Okay, all right. Honestly, I mean, I like, yeah, it's worth it
I
to
love
me.
barbecue sauce that much, man. I do, man. Look, hey, $5, man.
I
I hop in.
have not enough barbecue sauce, but we got barbecue sauce. I got a bath. I have $5. We got most of what we need. I even have chicken nuggets. They're shaped like dinosaurs.
See, I know you're testing me, bro. Now you're testing me. I might take a dip, bro. I might, you know what I'm saying? I might take it. I might stick my leg in it. You know what I'm
brought you
saying?
here
You
for
know,
a
that's probably
podcast.
about as far as I go. I mean, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
nah. I got a dog at home, man, and he probably go crazy.
Or he probably,
Nah,
he probably
he'd probably go crazy, man. He'd
favorite
go
barbecue
crazy.
sauce.
Ooh, favorite. Oh,
The first
man.
one comes to mind.
First one. Man, bro. Honestly, I grew up with the same kind. It was it's
Sweet Baby Ray's.
That's what I was thinking.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you
yes.
can't go
bro.
wrong with Sweet Baby Ray's.
Yes, yes. And
It's cheap, it's available, and that's why we like it.
I mean, basically,
Yep,
basically,
pretty much.
bro. What other way you gonna go? I mean, you know, like I'm not. But see, I'm not that picky, bro. I try to like, you know, be versatile though, man. You know what I'm saying? I like to try new stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From time to
Well,
time.
you're here for the podcast, so that's a new thing.
Yeah, man. I'm here for the podcast. This
So-
is my first podcast too, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty
Well,
cool.
like I said, we're honored to have you and appreciate it. So
Appreciate
let's
it.
get right into it.
All right.
We're gonna go into the Who Are You section.
Okay, cool.
So I'm gonna interrupt you very little, and I just want you to kind of talk about who are you.
all right.
What do people find out about Mosi the first like 4 or 5 times they meet him?
What do they find out first?
Yeah, what do they get to know about you?
Oh man. Well, I mean, I'd say I really love music. I love art. Anything that has to do with creativity, man. I always love, and I love to laugh, man. I don't like to take life too serious, man. There's too much going on in the world to
For
be
sure.
taking life too seriously all the time. But you know, I'm also I'm extroverted and I'm introverted at the same time.
Ambiverted, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what that's
that's
the
what the-
word
that's
they
the
call
word,
you.
yeah.
They call it an ambivert. So I'm very outgoing, and then there are times where I'm very like super like chill too at the same time, man. And I know that like it trips people out sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, what's going on? There's something wrong with him? No, it's not necessarily anything wrong.
You feel like that makes dating life kind of hard sometimes?
Yeah, dating life is tricky. It can be tricky, man. But I feel like as long as you're good with communication, as long as you're communicating, you know what I'm saying, and you're on the same page, you know what I mean, you should be good. So I try to like communicate well when I can.
Yeah, Wesley, you're pretty extroverted.
Yeah.
And would you say Emily is more introverted?
Definitely.
Yeah. And so that, like, what does that look like for you guys? Like,
well, it's weird because we'll go out like to hang out with some friends, and she's like, "You would talk so much." I'm like, "I was waiting for like a half hour while you were in a conversation. I was just sitting waiting to go." She's like, "Yo, you talk so much."
So, Mosi, where are you from? I know you said you've moved around.
Yes.
So, like, maybe just kind of give us, like, you know, where you're born, where you've lived, and, you know,
so
that kind of thing.
I was actually born in Kitsap County. I was born here in Washington. My father, he was military. So yeah, I was actually born out here in Washington State, man. And you know, I told you, we talked about it a little bit before. You know, when I turned about 13 years old, you know, my mother, she it was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, she couldn't teach me how to be a man, so she sent me to live in Arizona with my uncle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't rich though. That's the only difference. You know what I'm saying?
So
it wasn't.
what part of Arizona?
So it was like, I think it was Phoenix, Arizona. I went to school in Laveen, Arizona. I went to this school known as Cesar Chavez, man. But that wasn't the first school I went to, man. I went to a couple of schools out there. I went to La Jolla. I went to this other school called Westview. I was kind of hopping schools, man. I was going, and it wasn't because, you know, I was out there fighting or acting crazy or wild or nothing like that. It was just, you know, we just moved around a lot, you know. So
we'll talk about it some more. So
yeah,
things people know about Mosi 4 or 5 times after meet him. Born in Washington, moved around a bit. Raised by your mom up until your early teens. Raised by your aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
You love music.
Yeah.
Extroverted. You like sports?
I love sports, man. I love sports. I'm more into music than anything, but I do like sports, man. Bro, like, okay. So it's crazy, man, because I have a tremendous love for basketball. However, it's so crazy because I feel like all the legends that I grew up watching, they're not really as. I mean, LeBron's still going hard.
Yeah,
LeBron is still going hard.
I saw he got his 800th 25-point game the other night.
Bruh, look, LeBron is still. It's almost as if he's still in his prime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the players that I grew up watching, man, like Kobe and Allen Iverson, and you know, like T-Mac. You know what I'm saying? Tracy McGrady. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of players that I grew up just admiring, and Reggie Miller, man, like. He was probably like his 3-point shot. I mean, honestly, I would love to see him and Steph Curry in a shootout. I would love to see them in a three-point contest. But a lot of the players that I've seen playing, man, they're not playing as, you know.
Do you watch college ball at all?
College ball, not so much. Yeah. Not so much. Do you? What about you?
Well, wrestling's my sport, so like, if it's not like the Olympics or the World Team Trials or World Cup, whatever. The highest form of competition is college.
Okay.
Kind of. I mean, there's like clubs and stuff.
See, I thought you were talking about like WWE.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
WWF SmackDown.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff.
Did you wear spandex and like tassels, cowboy hat?
Spandex. I mean, it's, you know, that's typical.
You had a strap, but like it just did not cover your nipples no matter what.
I mean, in practices, like I remember, so this past season, my school district, lifted the ban on do-rags. And so my entire team, I got black kids on my team, but I got a lot of white kids and a lot of Asian kids on my team, came in all wearing do-rags.
Shut up.
Just because they could now.
Now that's a wrestling match that I would pay to see, bro.
So
I would pay to see that.
we're in practice and it's becoming a distraction because in wrestling there's a lot of head tapping, a lot of, you know, stuff, and like, oh, let me fix my do-rag. It's like, you don't even know what that does. Like, why are you wearing that? Anyway, whatever. So I said, hey, if you guys are gonna wear that, like, you guys are gonna come in on Monday wearing tutus.
I would watch that.
And they did it. Man. And they made their own tutus.
I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
they learned how to sew just for the joke.
I mean, like they had their girlfriends make it, but yeah, I mean, just a bunch of weirdo dudes in high school just coming to practice in a tutu, like skipping out of the locker room doing like pirouettes and stuff. Like,
bro,
Like,
Bro,
what
that's
are you guys doing?
hilarious.
Like, we're going to wrestling practice. Come on.
That is hilarious.
But like, you get on the mat and you put your hands on me, like it's going down. You know,
Oh,
that's how it is. Like,
that's-
it's you gotta have like because of how intense the sport is sometimes and how stressful it can be.
yeah.
You gotta have fun. You gotta be like, I don't know, little grab ass here and there. So
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my sport.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll kind of move on to the upbringing thing. So this is what the podcast is mostly about. We talk about our upbringing, specifically surrounding
Yep.
kind of broken homes and
Yep.
stuff. And
we talked about whoopings too, man.
we did.
Talked about,
We'll
we
talk about
talked
some
about
whoopings.
whoopings, bro. We
Yeah,
talked about
discipline,
whoopings.
man.
Yep, discipline.
So
Huh?
you said around the age of 13, you went to live with your aunt and uncle, right?
Yes.
So tell me about like your parents, like before you were born, like what you know of their story.
My parents. Okay, so I know that my dad, he's originally from New York.
Okay.
And my mom, she's originally from Oakland, California. So she's from the Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? So we got the East Coast and then we got the West Coast. And the reason that my dad came across my mom, the way that they came across each other was, so my dad joined the military. His home base was, stationed in Washington. My mother, she moved down to Washington from California with her mom and her boyfriend. I don't know if it was because of a job. I don't necessarily know the exact reason, but so they came down, and then they just crossed paths. They got on the ferry. They were in the ferry in Seattle, and my dad saw my mom, and mom saw my dad. I think something happened to where I think my mother saw my dad's shoes untied or something like that, and she helped him out or whatever. And then ever since then, they were cool. They just they were cool for the moment, I guess I should say. You know what I mean? So, but that's how they met each other.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, we East Coast and West Coast came together, man.
So
that's what it was.
So like, did they? I don't know if this is a personal. Did they get married before they had you, or
They didn't, man.
Okay.
They didn't. They were just young. They were kids, man.
just kids,
They were
yeah.
kids. My mother, I think she was still in high school. My dad, he was,
Okay.
he wasn't. He was in the military. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
yeah.
they were young, man. They were young. I guess it was like puppy love or whatever.
So I know you've told me that you grew up a good portion of your childhood, your adolescence, without your father.
Yes.
At what age do you remember he was kind of skipping out of the picture, or he was out completely? Was it like gradually, or did it like one day he just wasn't
So
there?
my dad was crazy about having a son.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He was crazy about having a son. I think every man. I mean, I haven't had a kid myself.
Right.
But if I had a little dude, I'd be like, oh snap,
Yeah.
it's a little me. I'd be like, it probably feel good. You know what I mean? So, you have any kids, man?
I did not,
No
no.
kids. What
No
about
kids
you?
yet.
No kid. Hey, so we're on the same boat.
I'm married though.
You're married. Oh, so it's only a matter of time for you, man. It's only a matter when you gonna put a bun in the oven, bro.
We're planning in like 3 or 4 years, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. Hey, you never know. So it's unexpected sometimes,
Yeah.
bro. It's unexpected. But man, that's a blessing, by the way. But nah, yeah. So my dad, he was present in my adolescence and my very, very, very young years.
Okay.
He was present, man. He always wanted to kick it with me and just have me around, have me over. My dad actually tried to do right, or do things in an orderly fashion. When he found out that I was coming into the picture, he was, he wanted to do the right thing, and he married my mom.
Yeah.
So he tried to do things I guess in the way that he thought was right.
Sure.
And
Good intentions.
Yeah. And so, my dad was present, in those very, very beginning stages. I want to say, a few years later, man, they found out that they were like oil and water. They just didn't mix, man. They
Sure.
just didn't mix. And
It's that East Coast, West Coast thing.
that East Coast, West Coast, man. It was like Tupac versus Biggie, bro. Oh, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, yo, it was getting real, bro. So, they parted ways, man. They parted ways.
How old were you when they parted ways?
Man, I was probably, honestly, man, I think I was probably like 4 or 5 years old,
Okay.
man. They tried to be compatible. My dad was, still with, in the state. He was still.
At that age, do you have any memories of them fighting?
Not physically.
No, like any kind of fight. You know,
Oh
yelling.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, bruh.
What's like
cats
what's
and
like
dogs.
what's like the horror story that comes to mind first?
Like cats and dogs. Not really any horror stories. I do remember there were times where, they tried to, because eventually my dad moved away. He moved to the other side of the
country.
Yeah, he ended up moving to Florida. And I remember one time my mom, tried to allow me and my sister, to, go visit him or whatever. And I guess my dad didn't give us back right away. You know what I mean? He didn't give us back. You know what I mean?
So there's a custody breakdown going on.
Yeah, and it's funny though because my mom kind of did the same thing to my dad in a sense a little bit. Like she wouldn't, like she kind of, kept her distance from him and everything. But yeah, man, that kind of stuff. It was, it's pretty bad, man.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. You hate to see that kind of stuff.
It's tough because I feel like every kid, even the healthiest families, they're gonna see their parents fight at some point, and if they're lucky. Yeah. Like the luckiest they can be, the most you can hope for is like kids in the hallway and it happens inside the bedroom with the door closed and they just hear the yelling.
Yeah, man.
But even then, at that age as a kid, like you're still like, are mom and dad okay? Like you're wondering.
Yeah, you hate to see stuff like that,
and,
man. You hate to see stuff like that. You hate to see, you hearing them like cuss each other out and stuff like that. You don't want to see that. It scares you a little bit too because you don't really, some of these words you ain't never heard before. And it's like, do you have any memories, Wesley, of like your parents kind of fighting? Anything that kind of sticks out to you?
A little bit. I mean, more so growing up because I feel like when I was a kid, like I always think of my life as like kind of, earliest memories like 7 because that's when I have an older brother that got really sick when I was 7. Mm-hmm. So we were in and out of the hospital till I was about 13, 14. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was there like 8 times in that time span.
Yeah.
So when he was at the hospital, he was like really doped up, like barely could communicate, like drooling kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when he was at home, he would be screaming, saying he's demon possessed, trying to hurt himself, trying to hurt us. Just go back and forth. Eventually, the hospital said, if you don't come pick up your kid, we're gonna take him to a homeless shelter. So I kind of retreated into like playing with my friends. I was homeschooled at the time, so I didn't go to public school till 5th grade. I was like 10, 11. So at that time, I was just kind of going off and doing my own thing, playing Game Boy and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of just, there's always screaming and stuff. I don't know who's mad at who or what. And my dad would isolate himself all the time. Like he'd be up in the computer room and he'd always play backgammon. You ever heard of backgammon? It's like an old.
No, man. That
not
was
important. But
must have been before my time, bro.
Yeah, it's an old game where you roll dice and you have to move pieces and stuff.
Yeah. That was probably his getaway.
He would retreat and lock himself in a room. We wouldn't see him, and he'd be off working overtime all the time or at home, playing his game.
Yeah.
So before, I feel like it was pretty good until 7 when everything started falling apart. Other older brother was just out partying and stuff all the time. Like he was never around.
If you don't mind me asking, I'm talking all close to the mic.
You're good.
If you don't mind me asking, man, how old were your parents when they got together?
When they got together, I don't hear a lot about like their story. I've heard it in like bits and pieces. So like it feels very nebulous and like hard to define for me. Mm-hmm. So my dad was born in 59. I think he's turning 62 this year.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
They moved to Tennessee, I want to say in 88.
Uh-huh.
And that's when they had my older brothers, I think. Yeah, even then I still have, I think they were like in their maybe early 30s when they got together.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I'm asking is because I feel like a lot of parents who are young parents that are still trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's still a lot of maturity that still needs to happen. You know what I mean? And so when you see a lot of this stuff, it's a lot of times it can be because of that maturity that hasn't necessarily fully been developed there yet.
Yeah, and this is like, I was going to share a story, but this is like what you're saying kind of, brings up something. So like, I don't know if I've told you this, Wesley knows, but I've been trying to get into the Seattle Police Department for 5 years.
Yeah.
I've gone through the process like 8 times.
Yep, you told me.
Almost got hired last year. It was great. Mm-hmm. And this one background investigator I had on like kind of investigating me through the process of employment or whatever, he said, he's like, hey, it's not going to work out. I'm sorry, but I want you to keep trying because here's why. Like, you got this stuff from your youth that's holding you back, but you're in your 20s and you're young. And listen, who you are right now in your early to mid 20s is going to be way different than who you are in your mid 30s.
Right.
Way differently than your 40s and your 50s.
Right.
It should be that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess the way he said that made me realize, like, it made me look back for the past several years I'd been applying to get into law enforcement, and I'd realized how I'd let go of a lot of distaste for law enforcement. Actually became like, I started wanting to do it because I thought I could do it better. And then as I started doing ride-alongs and I see things, I'm like, I see what it takes to do the job mentally and emotionally.
Yes.
And I'm realizing I'm different than 22-year-old, 21-year-old Shaun.
Definitely. I see the growth.
And it's like,
yes.
He was onto something. And I bring this back into like young parents. It's like, what's crazy? This is rolling the dice. This is rolling the dice. You're 19, your partner's 20, and you guys are going to start a life together. And you have no idea who you're going to be in 10 years, and you certainly don't know who they're going to be in 10 years. And how do you know, like, and so this is why I like, and not to like freak people out that like don't, subscribe to a faith at all, but it's like when I meet couples who have no relationship with God and they've been married for 30 years. Those are the ones where I'm like, how?
Right.
Because like people who are like in the faith, it's like there's at least this like foundation of spiritual like growth, and it's like, I hate you, but God's called me to love you, and so that, like, and they just stick it out through seasons of hardship.
Well, better yet, it's like, I hate your sin.
Right.
Well, you got to understand, a lot of these couples, man, there's things that you do not see. A lot of these couples, you're wondering how they stay together for so long. Some of these couples, some of these marriages, they call them open marriages. Some of these people are in some people do some of these couples that aren't, that don't have God in the center of them.
Yeah.
Some of them are finding other ways to cope.
Yeah. And so when you ask like, hey, what's your secret? It's like,
are they really going to tell you?
Yeah. I was like, do you really want to know? Like, and then maybe they don't want to tell you.
Man, I'm just saying.
Maybe that's the reason they've been talking to you, because they're gonna
they're scouting.
You. Yeah, they're scouting.
Maybe, man. You never know, man.
I used to be a project coordinator up in Seattle, and I had that. Like, I had situations like that where people were like,
where you would try to scout people.
Yeah, yeah. Where I would, especially in Cap Hill, for sure. Yeah.
Man,
your bachelor party.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. So, dude. Yeah. One thing I was gonna share is like So for the longest time, I thought this memory was a dream. And because like I was like 3 or 4, I was in diapers. I remember
at 4 you were in diapers.
No, I was like 3 or 2 or 3, something like that. It was the age where
Late
I had
bloomer.
memories. Yeah, I was a late bloomer. Yeah, for sure. No, I was at a CVS, like just a pharmacy with my mom. And I'm in an aisle, and my mom's looking at something. I'm playing with a bouncy ball, like I'm just sitting on the floor throwing it down, whatever.
Right.
And my dad walked by, and I was like, Dad or Daddy or whatever I said, I don't know, but I caught his attention, and it caught my mom's attention, and they were beefing. They'd been beefing for a while, and my mom went 0 to 60. She just started grabbing ceramic plates off the shelves and just tomahawk throwing them at him. Like, it was not even. There was no, what the F are you doing here? There was no. Like,
well, you don't want to say that because that's like, oh, he'll see it coming. I want to get him.
No, she just like looked over, grabbed something, and just started chucking.
Yeah, you
and
told
I'm
me about
like,
this.
I'm like sitting in a toilet, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have said anything. I don't know. And I thought this was a dream, and that like I would talk to my counselor about it. And then one day I was talking to my brother about this dream. He's like, no, dude, that happened.
Right.
Like I was living with Dad at the time, and he came home and told me about it.
Bro, you were not dreaming, man. We were both there. I seen it with my own.
Yeah.
Bro, that's so funny, man.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Like when I think about like, I don't know. Like sometimes I wonder if that, like just that situation sometimes is why like maybe my mom taught me in the moment that it's perfectly okay to like lash out at people because I've had to learn to kind of like tone it back with people a lot. And just like, cause I would have a tendency of exploding on people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that had to do with fatherlessness, and that kind of brings us into kind of the next point. So like, we all at this table have kind of experienced fatherlessness to some degree.
Yes. Yes.
We talk about like the things that your hobbies and things like your goals.
Yes.
How do you see your father's absence as, like, has it ever been like a roadblock or an obstacle? Have you ever seen a challenge and be like, dude, this is why I wish my father was around, so I could have learned how to do this or whatever?
Bro, there's so many different things. Like, so that was mainly the main reason that my mother sent me to live with my uncle. Because there's just certain things that a man can teach you that your mother cannot teach you.
Absolutely.
So there was a lot of things that, my uncle, he did the best that he could, as far as, right, trying to teach me certain things. He really did the best that he could. He wasn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? And he had 3 boys of his own, you know what I'm saying? But they were all younger than me. I was actually, I was actually in that stage where I was actually, I was like 13, something like that, 12, 13 years old. So I was just getting to those, you know what I'm saying? So that was new for my uncle too. He didn't really necessarily know, but there were so many things, man, that I wish he would have, that I would have learned, how to shave, how to treat women, you know what I mean? How to treat women. But I know that he probably wouldn't have been a good example there either, but that's a whole nother story in itself.
Well, I mean, he was in the military, so he knew how to shave.
He definitely knew how to shave, but he didn't teach me.
So let's talk about a couple of those things. So so how did you learn how to shave?
Just like every other man, you make your mistakes.
Yeah.
Bro, let me tell you, one time I tried to give myself, this is a terrible story.
That's
bro,
fun.
I tried to give myself a lineup. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I tried to cut my own hair. I didn't want to wait on my uncle. I think my uncle was doing his own thing. I think he was at the studio or something. He was somewhere.
All right.
And I tried to grab his clippers and I tried to give myself a haircut. Okay.
How old were you?
I was this is when I was freshman year of high school.
Okay, 14, 15.
14, 15 years old,
Yeah,
bro.
okay.
I just grabbed the clippers. I say, I'm just going to cut my own hair, man. I'm gonna just put it to you like this, man. I had a 5 head, okay? I gave myself a grandpa cut. Like, my lineup was terrible, bro. I brought it all the way back. Man. So I knew that I couldn't just go to school like this.
Yeah.
So I had to figure something out. So remember them do-rags you was talking about?
Oh yeah.
I put on a do-rag, I put on a hat, and I put on a hoodie. All right?
Yeah.
And I went to school. Go to class. My teacher says, Mosi, there are no hoods in school.
Okay.
I
yeah,
took
I already
my
know this is
hood
going
off.
on. Yeah. Like
She said,
you built up the
"Mosi,
layers.
There's no hats in school.
Yeah, okay.
I took my hat off. I'm like, oh, God, please. She sees the do-rag. She says, Mosi. And by that time, everybody in the class turns and looks
yeah.
at me. Everybody in the class.
You just get up and leave.
Bro,
Yeah.
that's
It's
what
over.
I should have did.
It's over.
That's what I should have did because it was this class clown, bro, that he was terrible. He was ruthless, bro.
that was me.
So he was just waiting because he knew I was trying to hide something at that point. So my teacher was like, Mosi, there are no do-rags in school. I slowly take off my do-rag. As soon as I took it off, everybody's, damn! Like, everybody just started screaming. Like, everybody screamed. And then, class clown, oh boy, I don't even remember his name, man, but he just had a field day, bro. He roasted me that entire day, man. That entire day.
That class clown was definitely me, and I apologize. Even though I wasn't there, that was me, for sure.
You probably would have had a field day, too.
So, senior year of high school, I mean, obviously I wasn't a kid, but I'm in chemistry class. I think it was junior year, actually. I don't remember which. No, senior year. Mm-hmm. I'm at the first day of chemistry semester. The teacher's like, listen, class, at the beginning of class every day, I'm going to give you a random fact of science not related to chemistry.
Okay.
So I said, okay, all right, cool. And we're all like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so he's like, fun fact of today, there is no such thing as suction in the scientific world. There's no such thing as suction. And honestly, like, a class of 30 students, like, really didn't care.
Right.
He said, there is, however, the phenomenon that we call suction, and it is really just the decrease of pressure.
So it's like cold. There's no such thing as cold. There's just a
Right.
decreasing amount of heat.
Right, so everybody's now confused or don't care or both. And I raised my hand, and he said, yes, Mr. Urell. And I said, yeah, by you saying that, you really decreased the pressure in this room.
You said it sucks.
Yeah, I said it sucks. Nobody got it. Nobody understood.
You were playing
Nobody
3D
laughed.
chess.
But he did. He understood the joke, and he was not a fan.
The teacher?
Yeah,
The
he's
teacher?
like, get out of my class. And so
he laughed and then kicked you out of the class?
He didn't laugh. No, he understood the joke.
Oh, he caught the joke, but
but no one else did. And I remember as I was walking out, there was a dude in the back of my class, total stoner kind of dude. I don't know if he understood the joke or maybe he just offered up his hand as a high five because I was getting kicked out.
Right.
But I took that. I take those all day long, bro. With my living situation, living at my sister's house, I was not going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
My sister probably think it's funny. So I kind of wandered around and I realized, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I've got 60 minutes to not get in trouble with, like, anyone else on the campus of the school, and I'm not in a class, so what do I do? So I went to the office, and I just sat in the office until somebody asked me, hey, what's up? And it was, like, 20 minutes. I was like, I just got kicked out of class. I don't know what to do. And so the principal and vice principal were out, and my guidance counselor, he's like, hey, come in here. And I had such a rough upbringing, so he was trying to be sensitive to me. He's like, so what's going on? And I told him what happened, and he almost fell out of his seat laughing. He thought it was hilarious.
The teacher laughed,
the
principal?
The guidance counselor.
The guidance counselor laughed.
Yeah, he thought it was funny. Yeah, he was this like 60-year-old guy.
See, I like that.
And
that's
so
cool.
he's like, Shaun, do you even want to take chemistry? I was like, no. He's like, but you need it for college. I was like, no. And he was like, no, you do. And I was like, I don't want to go to college. And he was like, yeah. He's like, how does weight training sound to you? Like lifting weights for, like as a class. And what he didn't realize, and I don't know why, because the schedule was in front of him on the computer, I already had weight training twice a day. Like I had it first and fourth period. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And he's like, how about instead we take you out of chemistry and we put you in weight training? I was like, I think I could do that. Yeah, so then now I had weight training for like 3 times a day.
3 times?
So check it out. This was my senior English class.
This dude got strong.
This was my six periods in the day. So I had weight training, senior English, team sports, weight training, Spanish, weight training.
Bro,
you just got to get rid of those other classes.
I know. Actually, I dropped out of Spanish too, and I became a TA for that Spanish class.
This guy, man. This guy's over here getting easy A's, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
so
crazy.
I didn't have to take math at all when I came out to Washington because I already done all my math credits in Carolina. And so
I never would have got the luxury. I never would have got the luxury. I don't know how you lucked out like that, man. He says it's the privilege. He's like, it's the privilege. Bro, I'm telling you, man, that's crazy, bro.
Let me tell you the struggle of being a white boy in America.
Oh, the struggle. the struggle. Oh, please tell me about the struggle.
No one knows what it's like.
Yeah. Just okay.
Wait, but you know what? There probably is struggles that you guys have that nobody would ever. I feel like every race has a struggle that nobody would probably ever understand. Every race.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's
every race.
Because you're talking about like giving yourself a 5 head.
Everything from Asian, from Latino to
it's Latinx now.
Latinx.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything, man.
And then there's like intricacies like being adopted. Like I don't know if you're like the Asian kid in the white family or a black family or whatever. Like there's going to be.
No, those are unique situations.
I feel like the from your perspective, you don't really care until like you grow up and go to school and people bring it up or something.
I mean, who's gonna when you're not in the school setting, who can really say anything to you?
Yeah,
and like I think a lot of and this will kind of tie into the next topic. So I think a lot of people, especially like minority communities, kind of assume that like white kids do not face discipline at home. And I think for a big part that might be true.
They never heard of Big Bertha. My parents had a cricket bat they would beat us with.
Oh my gosh.
You're yelling with your brother. Okay. They're like, Big Bertha? I'm like, God, no.
So check this out. I was getting my hair cut. I think last time I was at my barber, and no, it was the second last time. And like I was just talking to him about the my barber about the podcast, and I was talking about my upbringing and how my mom's form of discipline, and she would say things like "pick your switch," which
we all know
go
what that
find
means.
something to like I'm gonna hit you with.
I can whoop you with.
But I remember at a certain age when I was living with my grandmother, but my mom was in the same town, and I was hanging out with her. I pissed her off one time, and she didn't even want she did not want to spank me there. She told me to go get in the car. We drove 15 minutes to the grocery store. We got in the middle of the grocery store. She pulled my pants down to spank me in front of everyone to embarrass me. Like 7 or 8. Yeah. So
bro, you telling me everybody in the store saw your booty, bro? That's what you're
and I was embarrassed, and I did I don't know what I did, but I don't think I did it again.
I'm losing it, bro. I'm losing it.
So
bro.
Anyway, I'm telling my barber about this, and he was like, And he like stopped cutting my hair, and he was like,
Wait, was this recent? You told him?
"Yeah, this was like a month and a half ago."
Was there anything that brought this up, or you're just like,
I was talking to him about the podcast.
okay,
you know?
not
So-
just like this has been weighing on me. I got like I haven't told anyone.
How old were you? How old were you at this?
Like
This
7,
age?
he said.
Yeah, I was like 7 or 8.
You were
7.
7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, my mom decided, you know what? You are not learning from the spankings. You're gonna learn from humiliation, I guess. I don't know. I love my mom for that.
Those
But
poor
anyway,
people at the grocery store.
I know, right? It's like they just got blinded
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's not a full moon. It's like that's a bright moon. But anyway,
I don't even know how.
So-
I don't even know if I'd show my face
Superman.
at that store ever.
yeah, it
I
was.
don't even know if I would go here.
So,
Was it like a Whole Foods, like even worse?
I think it was a Food Lion.
Just a bunch of uppity people.
Do you guys have Food Lion in Tennessee?
Tell me you weren't
Food
naked.
Lion?
Yeah,
tell me-
Food Lion.
I never really went to it, but
It's
we
like
had it.
it's like Safeway.
Tell me you weren't naked around the food though. Tell me you weren't naked around the
I
food.
don't remember, dude. It was like in between where the aisles and the checkout.
Did she hit you with like a produce? Like
No,
she,
with
like,
her hand.
grabbed something.
With her hand. Yeah, just like the nice, the sting, the sound, the embarrassment. Yeah.
Did she like
So anyway.
walk around with her arms out like, are you not entertained?
No, she did
People start throwing,
like
like,
she did the
coins
John
at her.
Cena, like you can't see me.
Bro,
The social services after me, you can't see me. Like, yeah, no.
that's
Like,
So
joke's on
anyway.
you. It's not even my kid.
So anyway, I'm telling my barber this, and he stops cutting my hair, and he looks at me. He's like, "Dude, were you raised by Hispanics or something?" And he's like, "Cause that's some Mexican mom shit right there."
yeah.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
was like, "No, like I was a white boy raised in the South in the '90s. I don't like, you know." But anyway, so it's
Certain parents do not
So,
care, man.
speaking of discipline. You told me a story, and I don't like if you don't want to share. That's cool. But you're telling me about the first time your uncle disciplined you.
Oh man.
And
Oh.
yep, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so you remember I told you my mom sent me to live with my uncle, you know, because she couldn't teach me how to be a man.
Right.
Well, my uncle, he was kind of, you know, he was tough on, but I appreciate him. I
Yeah.
appreciate him for being tough on me, man. But man, I remember the first time he gave me a nice, good, just nice deck in the chest, bro. Just a real good, nice deck in the chest, and he told me not to cry. He said, "You better not cry." Bro, my uncle, mind you, he's 6'3", okay, about 300 and something pounds,
And
okay. He had that pressure on me, man. He had that pressure. Boom, better not cry. Boom, he made me like really like.
One for
Yeah.
each tier.
Man, bro, I'm telling you.
Okay.
And it toughened me up, man, because I couldn't go run to mom.
Oh yeah.
It was no go run and tell mommy. She's in a whole nother state, okay? It's me and him.
Yeah,
So
like-
I got to man up. You know what I mean? I had to man up.
I don't know if anybody like listening like has this experience where it's like so like your friend's mom spanked you. I'm gonna tell my mom. She gave me permission.
Man.
Get in the corner. Like oh. So all right. So do you remember what you did to get that, or is he?
You
just
know what?
feeling it?
Honestly, man, I don't remember what it was.
Do you think
man.
he did something, though,
I
right?
think I gave him some kind of attitude or
him
something,
some
man.
whip.
I gave him some kind of talk back or bite back, or I tried to get, you know.
So here's So you mentioned he said you better not cry.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a sec. So I think a lot of people these days are soft, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, I used to be seeing people out there
understatement.
that are soft.
It's an understatement.
Right.
2021.
So they
We
said
have it
so,
too good.
So
in my
people listening
opinion,
and be like,
always.
people are listening and be like, oh my gosh, he got beat. They don't even care the fact that I'm asking what you did to deserve it, right? And they don't even care the fact that you said you love him for doing that. You were abused, right? Now, then he said, you better not cry. Every person that saw it, their head just exploded. But let's talk about why it's important. Like why it was important because he told you not to cry.
So you're saying why is it important to beat your kids?
I mean, there's both. I mean, I think people who are like kind of on the same page with us about like beating your kids. I have a well-behaved dog, and
It's true.
I think every parent knows why.
Your dog is the most well-behaved dog I've ever met.
You met his dog already.
Oh yeah, dude.
I've known Shaun for like he coordinated my wedding.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy that you say that, man, because my sister is always getting on me. Why are you being loud with him? Or why are you treating like it's like
Your dog.
he's my
yeah.
like
You're the
this
alpha.
is
What
I
kind of
have
dog
to be the alpha because that's the only he has to learn respect. He
Yeah.
has to, or these dogs will walk all over you.
Yep.
They really will. If they smell weakness or they feel like they can do whatever they want to do, they gonna do whatever they want to do.
So
when they want to do it.
I'm gonna put something out there.
If you don't like it, send it right
Send it
back.
back. This is Anchorman. Yeah.
I want to be on you.
Yeah. I don't mean to overwhelm you, but I'm kind of a big deal. My apartment smells like rich mahogany, and I have many leather-bound books.
You watched that movie too many times.
Dude, I quote that movie too many times.
Bro, he was hilarious in that movie, man.
It's probably his best.
All right, so I'm going to put something out there, all right? So the fact that your uncle says you better not cry. So here's the thing. Here's what I believe. I think I got all these tattoos, right? And people are like thinking you must have a high pain tolerance. I do not. People ask me, "Did you cry?" I say no, but I really wanted to. And they don't understand what it's like to you can't cry when you're getting a tattoo because it's almost physically impossible. Like my whole body is like writhing, and my eyes just can't do that right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't have a very high pain tolerance. I'm a wimp, right? But I have grit, and my upbringing was never able to take away pain tolerance or give me pain tolerance.
Yeah.
But it was able to give me grit. And what I'm offering up here at the table, and you guys tell me what you think, is when your uncle says you better not cry, that was teaching grit. What do you think?
Yeah. No, seriously, bro. Like, till this day, I honestly can't remember the last time I cried.
Oh, really?
And I don't even. No, I'm so serious. I can't really even remember the last time I actually cried. Whether I was going through a hard situation, whether I was in a fight and I wasn't winning the fight, whatever the situation was, I honestly cannot remember the last time I cried. Like, I remember being a crybaby. See, mind you, when my dad left, I was young. I was like maybe, I was like 4 or 5 years old when my mother and my dad divorced, and then my dad left, the state. He went to the other side of the country when I was probably, not too much older than that, like maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. So all I had was my sister, my mother, and my grandmother. I was around a bunch of women. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So crying wasn't that hard at that time. You know, crying was almost natural at that time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Everyone starts like hugging each other and crying.
You feel me? You see what I'm saying? But yeah, man, bro, honestly, after moving to live with my uncle and then of course there was some other things that transpired too. You know what I mean? But bro, I honestly cannot remember the last time I cried.
And even like you're telling me you can watch Lord of the Rings and not cry?
Good question. So I
does like art make you cry?
So I saw some movies. I saw some movies that almost brought me close. I saw some movies that brought me close. Have y'all ever seen Queen versus Slim? Have y'all ever seen that movie?
No. Okay.
When y'all see that movie, man, it's a powerful movie. Anybody who's seen that movie, they know what I'm talking about. There's a scene at the end of the movie. It's just it's whew. But nah, man, there's a couple of movies that have probably, like I Am Legend with Will Smith. You remember when he killed his dog Samantha? Yeah. He had Samantha in his arms and everything. Bro, and he was crying when it was like, ooh. Like, I was just like, man.
He didn't want to do it, but he had to.
He had to, right. So there was a tearjerker, but yeah, I didn't cry, bro, but there were little movies, little films that I've seen that, almost brought me there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, man, I've never, bro, I think probably the last time that I actually maybe got, somewhat teary-eyed is when I lost my pastor, and his name was Bishop Lawrence Robinson.
You were telling me about him, right?
I was telling you about him. And I think that was probably the last time I could really remember actually, like, getting there. You know what I mean? Like, actually feeling something. Because that man, like, loved, like, he never judged people. People. He was always loving. Anytime he saw you, he smiles at you as if you could do no wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was almost like that, man. Like, well, he wasn't just a pastor. He was literally like a vessel that God allowed him, like, God was using.
How old were you when he became part of your life?
Oh, man. He was there at the very beginning. My mom was, she took us to church, when I was young, She grew up taking us to church with her.
He
was always there.
He's local here to the Seattle-Tacoma area.
He was always he was in Kitsap County. He had a church in Bremerton. That's where he had a church.
I remember you saying Bremerton. I was thinking So you go to your aunt and uncle's at 13. He can't really be a part of your life at that point unless you.
No, pastor was all the way. Yeah, he wasn't. He couldn't be there. But I know that if I would have called him, he would have answered.
And then when you came back to Washington, was he still alive?
He was still there.
So
still there.
And he was part of your life again after that. At that point,
He didn't pass, and he recently passed. It wasn't that long ago.
So when did you come back to Washington? What age?
Man, I was probably like 20 years old, 21 years old.
So here's what I think I'm understanding. So you're 13, you get sent to live with your aunt and uncle, and it's your uncle, it's his responsibility to teach you how to be a man.
Yeah.
And then you came back to Washington in your adulthood, and here's where I think a lot of people, like one of my friends got me onto thinking about this, is like how to be a father to your kids in their adulthood. A lot of people have this idea is like they're 18, I don't need to be a parent anymore, but that's not true.
Job is done, you know.
Right, because you still love your kids.
Yeah.
You're 18, you're 20, you move back out here, you don't have your uncle. I mean, you could call him, talk to him.
Yeah.
But like, who's mentoring who? And so, would you say Pastor kind of filled your life, like filled that role in your life to be that father in your adulthood in that moment?
I would definitely say that there were men, that were in the church that I could look up to, or see a good example. Another thing was around that time is when I had my stepfather. Even there was a time where he couldn't really be there for me because there was a time where he was locked up. You know what I'm saying? So he would write me letters all the time. You know what I mean? But I was kind of closed off because after the separation from my dad, I ain't really, look at any other man like, that he could play that role, a father role. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, he'd be around for a certain amount of time and he'd be gone too.
Yeah.
But he has been there, like, even till this day. My pops, I could call him anytime and I know he gonna pull up. Like, no matter what it is. If I need his help with something or if I need to talk to him, I know he's gonna answer the phone. Like, I know that about him. Like,
nice.
He actually showed me that there are still men that are men can be fathers. Men can be fathers and they can be dope about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm blessed to have my stepfather and he kind of took that role. So
thinking about having kids of your own someday?
Most definitely. I mean, if God allows that, if it's in his will and he allows me to experience that blessing, bro, I've experienced so much to where I know for a simple fact they're not going to know what it looks like. They're just not going to know what it looks like to have what I experienced and what my dad before me experienced.
So like if it's up to you, how many kids do you want to have?
As many as I can afford.
Yeah. Well, I think the like statistical answer is 0 at that point, but people have kids all the time when they technically can't afford it. But I always say like people either fail or they rise to the occasion. And for what it's worth, man, I feel like you're one of those guys who like you'd rise to that occasion.
Oh, you know what I mean? There's no question. There's no question. My whole life was about that. I couldn't blame other people for my shortcomings. Or if there was a job I wanted, I had to go get it. I'm not gonna bro, I can't recall a time I ever have been without a working position. I've always been employed.
Same.
And that's because I can never sit idle.
Yeah.
I can never do the woe is me.
Yeah.
I can never do that.
You ever get fired?
Bro, I done been fired
so many
more times than I can count.
Dude, you got like
and bounce back stronger every single time.
You know what someone told me? They're like, the first time I got fired, I called someone a man in my life. He's like, well, you have until you get home to sulk about it. And after that, you got to figure it out.
What did he say? Say that again? That was deep.
You have until you get home to sulk about it.
I like that, man. I never met that in my life. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like
I was like, and because that's the hard part when you get fired, you're like, how am I gonna pay rent? I'm this, and then at the same time, you're also feeling, man, I'm a failure. I messed up. And honestly, if you're going through, like, if you're a man, and I feel like we're speaking to men a lot lately. That's okay. This is for this episode. If you're a man, you got fired and you have those feelings of, I don't know what to do now, and I feel like my self-worth has been attacked. Deal with the self-worth first for as long as it takes you to get home. That bus ride, that car ride, that walk home, that bike ride, that's your time. And then after that,
get to business.
You better be on Indeed.
Straight down to
you
business.
Better be on like Craigslist. And you're like,
boy, you better get in.
Be looking around like, what can I like? So I get fired. I'm mad. I come home. I'm like, what can I break and what can I sell?
Oh yeah,
man. Look, man. You got to get in where you fit in, man. Get in where you fit in. I remember when. I remember the first time I got fired from a real job, man. I got fired from a real job. And, man, I remember I was like, man, I got this apartment. I got to figure out what I got to do. I got to find out what I got to do, man. I need a job. I have a place. And so I did something. It was like second nature to me, bro. It was like second nature. I dressed nice. I snuck to the back. I went to Fred Meyer's. You guys know what Fred Meyer's. Y'all know that store.
Yeah.
I ran to the back where, you know, only employees are supposed to go, because I saw the door swing open. Okay, I saw the door swing open. I sprinted into the back to where nobody noticed when I walked through. I found the human resource lady, and I don't know if she's listening. If she's listening, God bless you, Miss Nancy. You taught me so much. Her name was Miss Nancy, and she was like, hi, how you doing? I was like, hey, how you doing, ma'am? And she was like, can I help you? I said, yes, ma'am. My name is Mosi, and I'm looking to see if there were any opportunities that you guys had at this time. I'm really looking for a position here at this store. I want to work here, And she said, how did you get back? How did you get back here? How did you do that? How did you get back here? And I said, so, ma'am, like I was saying, if you have any opportunities, you know what I'm saying, I would be more than happy to answer. And she was like, I told her, I just wanted to shake your hand, ma'am. I just wanted to, back when shaking your hands was okay. This was before COVID.
You didn't do any elbow touching.
Yeah, you didn't have to do the elbow. Exactly.
Put it there, lady.
I literally did that. Like the first week I heard about COVID, somebody was like, it's not a big deal, right? And I was like, yeah, it's not a big deal. We spat and we went like this. And we're like in front of a bunch of people who are doing the elbow stuff. And they're like,
This is off topic, but just recently I made a huge mistake. I was getting ready to sneeze, and I left my mask up. Like, okay.
That's what you do, right? You don't want to get all that.
You don't want to get all of it inside of your mask, right?
It's gross.
But I was standing at this counter. I think I was making like a cashier's check, or a money order or something. And the lady,
oh my gosh,
the lady act like I pulled a gun out on her. No, I'm not playing. She wanted. It was like she wanted to run, like she basically did kind of run, but she did it in a fashion to where she didn't want to like offend me or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's crazy now. It's crazy, bro.
Was she white?
I'm just thinking of her like she's like picking up a little speed, but like trying to act casual and normal. Like,
she took her spray and she just started spraying down like this.
Oh my gosh.
I said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. She was like, no, it's all right. It's just you know how they try to. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We just have to take certain precautions. And she was trying to sweet talk me like I didn't. Yeah, she was frightened.
In those kind of situations, do you ever feel tempted to like jokingly pull the black card? Like, oh, it's because I'm black.
I do that to people just to mess with some people sometimes.
I would, honestly.
If I see if I go ahead and if I go to a place where I'm trying to order some food and I'm like, hey, is there a discount? Do you guys have any discounts? It's Black History Month.
Oh my gosh.
It's Black History Month right now. Do you guys have any it didn't work, bro.
Oh, dang.
It didn't work.
I was gonna say
I was at a Chinese food restaurant and they were just like she was no, there's no discount.
Because I was gonna say, if you've ever had that work, I would take that as a challenge to like identify as black and be like, hey, like,
well, bro, your beard has a little, you know what I'm saying? Your beard's got some scruff to it, man.
I got a big nose, no. The funny story, I think I've told you about this. I had a buddy in 8th grade, all through school, whatever. But in 8th grade, this dude's as white as I am, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's a Jarhead Marine now. We'd be like in line, going into classes or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because we're still being herded like cattle at that age. Mm-hmm. And in the hallway, he would yell, "I love being black."
Who said that? Who did that?
My friend Corey.
Your friend Corey.
Yeah, and okay, his name's Corey. He's a white dude.
Oh, he's a white dude, and he said, "I love being black."
Yeah, he's got more freckles on his arms than I do.
Okay, then Corey. Okay,
and Corey. He yells that out. I'm like, again, we're like 12, 13, and he's like, "I love being black." So we had, this is Carolina, so we got a lot more black people, a lot less diversity than the Seattle area, but like a lot more like black people in the South, right? And so we had teachers that were black that did not like this. Oh. And our science teacher, I'll never forget her name.
They didn't like the sentiment of liking being black?
Yeah, they did not like the sentiment. So
I
they
want
look like a white boy.
I do want to call something out you said earlier, though. You said it, and I don't know if he caught it or not. I don't know if you caught it or not. You said, remember I said you got some scrub to your nose, and then you said your nose was a little big. Yeah. You do know that there are black people that have narrow noses, right?
I do know that, yeah. But okay, I know like the stereotype is, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you knew there are black people with narrow noses. I just wanted to make sure you know.
So my first varsity wrestling match, I shot in somebody's legs as soon as my coach said to, and I got crossface, which is where someone's thumb knuckle just goes across your face, and it broke my nose like that. Oh. And I got off the mat. I lost. Yeah, I was very green.
I would imagine that you
and my my like the other guy that was like close to my weight, what is his name? Derek Burris. Like he's like 6 pounds heavier than me, but like 6 inches taller than me. Mm-hmm. Black dude. He was like, ooh. I'm proud of you. You went out there, you shot as soon as Coach said it. I was like, yeah. He's like, look at that nose though. Like, keep at it. You're gonna be a brother just like one of us. And I was like,
he showed you.
And he was trying to like, dude, I just lost the match, so he was trying to.
He was trying to
uplift me, but
yeah,
dude, yeah. So I've had this like.
Well, no, man, I hear that wrestlers, man, y'all be getting these little injuries that, I mean, your ears. I think I hear something about cauliflower, like wrestlers that get these little things that in their ear. Right, yeah, man, it's just certain injuries, man, that you guys get. There's like what you call them? They call them I want to say like not markings, but like there's just battle scars that wrestlers get that nobody else would.
We get mat burn, we get broken noses, cauliflower ear.
Man, my pops,
scar tissue lips.
My pops was like he was major. My pops was like he was actually getting ready to be one of the state champions. My pops. He was a huge
into wrestling.
My pops was into wrestling, man, and my pops, man. If y'all would have seen, man, he was that dude was massive.
As an adult and as a Christian, I've had a lot of men teaching me how to be a man. Mm-hmm. But when I was living in Carolina, I had a wrestling team full of other boys that were teaching me how to be a man. Like that's how I learned how to shave, because you have to shave for wrestling for abrasions and stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. We had to come to school on the days we had matches, and probably basketball does this too. And the day you had a match, you had to come in with a button-up shirt tucked in and a tie. I didn't know how to tie a tie. We didn't have YouTube.
Yeah, I learned about YouTube when one of my first jobs was working at a spaghetti house, and I had to look it up to.
Yeah, me too. I did the same thing. I did the same thing. I had to teach myself how to tie a tie. I also had my my homeboy. His name was Luke. He taught me how to tie a bow tie out of an actual long tie.
Yeah.
Did you know you could do that?
No.
That's
you can
originally
tie a
how you
bow
do
tie
it,
out of a long tie. You can actually tie a bow tie and make one out of it. So
one of my Simone friends like taught me how to do it. I was like, why do you know how to do
I'm telling you, man, it's sad though, man. Like it shouldn't have to be like that. We shouldn't have to like go to other people to learn things, and we shouldn't have to, sometimes it's like the blind leading the blind, man. When you got young people teaching other people, other young people, but I mean, sometimes when that's all you got, man, that's all you got, and you got to work with what you got sometimes, man. So
and like preferably, we shouldn't even have like the public school doing it. Like it should be, it should be the parents,
Right.
I feel like public school is like a second line of defense.
Yeah, like
in general,
like right. And we've talked about this, like sex education, right?
Right.
Like that should be the parents teaching that, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the counter argument. And
parents are being forced now because you think about everything that that's taking place right now with this
gender identity
pandemic and not the gender identity, but the pandemic is causing parents to actually have to be parents now.
Oh yeah.
Husbands to actually have to be husbands now.
Well, and you see the other sides like domestic abuse percentages going up and stuff like that. Yeah, people were at home all together.
Yes. And
then they have all their outlets of like going to the bar with their friend or going to the like a football game occasionally.
Yeah,
very high stress lately.
Whew.
So
crazy.
So we're at an hour now.
Are we at an hour?
We're at an hour now.
Have we been having that much fun?
We have. Hey, let's do another 15 minutes. We'll talk about this last thing, and then we'll kind of cut it. But so I guess my first question is, and I ask myself this all the time, and I'll ask people: you grew up in the environment you did.
Yeah.
You meet a kid, and he's going through almost the same thing you went through.
Right.
What's your if you only got a moment, like you're passing by in the store, what's your one piece of advice you give him?
So I would ask more questions.
Okay.
I would ask more questions because a lot of times, when you get to a certain age, you think you can, you're like, hey, I can do this by myself or I'll figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a lot of times that's pride, and we got to get it out of your pride a lot of times, especially as men.
Yeah.
Men, we don't want to have to ask for help. That's
Right.
at least for me. I can speak for myself. I don't know about anyone else. Some dudes probably, don't have a problem asking for help. But me, you'll hardly ever really hear me ask you for help. I'm very
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm very
Because we want people to think that we're strong,
Of
we're
course.
dependable, we're someone you can
self-sufficient.
lean on. And when I ask for help, I'm destroying the image that I've given you that I am that man.
Right.
And it's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, asking for help and asking for advice and, how does this work? How does that work? That expands your ability, making you stronger and more self-reliant, self-sufficient.
When you try to figure things out for yourself, man, there's things that can take place. There's mistakes that you'll make, and some of these mistakes, they can affect the rest of your life. So, I think it's very important that, we have that humility, man, and don't be afraid to ask for help, man. And that just goes for your prayer life too. I mean, I don't necessarily know, somebody listening may not necessarily believe in God or may not believe in a higher power at all. But, when it all comes down to it, you're flesh and blood. You're not invincible. You're just not. You're not made of steel. It's crazy when you're young. You think that nothing can hurt you. You think you have. You think you have forever. You think you have forever. You think you have. You never know, man. There's young people dying all the time, bro, and that's why a lot of them, kids are teaching other kids in the media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the music industry.
Yeah, we got
From
TikTok.
movies.
Yeah, we got TikTok.
movies
teaching-
and movies and music industry.
So like I look at I'll be on Facebook scrolling and a video come like I'm interested, and then it'll play the next video and I'll play the next video. And I'm realizing all this stuff is geared more towards the younger generation than me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it scares me. Like I'll see oh, there's a TikToker, some chick, and she's really famous, and she does like every dance that comes out. This is like every preteen, teenager, TikTok white girl.
Yeah.
But it's like they're just out there shaking their ass, and that's teaching my future daughter how to be a woman. Or there's like this one guy's like, he's funny, don't get me wrong. It's King Botch or something, like King Bach or something.
King Batch.
King Batch, yeah.
King Batch,
I don't know how to
man.
say it. I just see it.
King Batch,
and
yeah.
he's hilarious, and I'm laughing at the time. But it's like, but I realize like his content is teaching my future son how to be a man. If I'm not,
if you
in his
allow,
life.
if you allow,
If I'm not in his
if
life.
you're not in his life,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
it's kind of scary, but it's also kind of challenging. It's like, and it kind of reminds me, it's like, okay, this is why if you have a kid, there's no debate, there's no question in his life, because I don't trust that in the hands of the media, So
You have a major point. Me and some of the guys, me and some of my homeboys, we were having a conversation about this, and we were just talking about all the different things that kids have access to nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
When we all three of us, when we were in school, okay, what did we have? We did not have Snapchat. We did not have Instagram. Maybe towards our high school we had MySpace. Okay, but that was
Yeah, I
nothing
had
compared
MySpace,
to
yeah.
what. Yeah, no, seriously, and the things that you have access to on all these different social media platforms. To be a kid in this day, there are going to be. But see, what's interesting is because there's so much information being poured out to the younger generation. What's going to be cool to see is that there are going to be a lot of kids in this generation who are just, the intelligence is going to be just out of this world. You know what I mean? Some of these kids are going to be so smart and are going to wake a lot of these other kids up. I'm going to point them in the right direction. And I pray that if I do have a kid, that I can raise my son to be one of those young men that are pointing people in the right direction.
Yeah, that's the hope. I feel like the danger could be, it might just be a lot of knowledge instead of a lot of wisdom or a higher intelligence. It's a lot of like facts or stuff that doesn't actually help you with how to be a man, like you said. Like just hearing like facts and figures or looking up stuff on the internet doesn't necessarily teach you what to do in your life.
There's
Right.
things that
Well,
hinder your. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, let me give like a very easy example. So like math.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how to do math really well, and
Right.
sometimes I take that for granted, and I realize I do because somebody will like present a multiplication problem,
Mm-hmm.
and a kid who's like someone who's like 10 years younger than me, let's say they're 8 years younger than me, we're like, he's an adult, I'm an adult. He is smart enough to know how to get the answer faster with his phone, but I can do it. See, I understand conception. Like, I understand the conception of math, but it takes me a minute. He's quicker, but doesn't understand why it ends up like that. He just knows if he puts these numbers in like this, it gives a result. And so we can do that to other things in life. It's like, I understand conceptually why dropping nuclear weapons on Nagasaki and Hiroshima were so crazy. And I understand the conception of it, but to someone, all they need to know to pass an exam is that it happened. They don't need to hear the eyewitness story of someone reaching to grab someone's hand and their skin coming off their bone. They don't need to hear that in order to know, yeah, it happened in this year and this was the president at that time.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with our school system in general, is that it teaches people to hear stuff and then repeat it back instead of to how to think for themselves, how to solve complex problems.
Here's what to think, not how to think. And that's...
Or how to be.
That's pretty
what
deep.
To be.
That's pretty deep. And that just kind of goes to make you think, okay, are we allowed to free think? Or are we free thinkers here? Or are we just like programs? Are we just like, just a chip off the whole block?
And it's the old classic problem with technology as well. If you emit the match, now you can make fire really good. If your matches get wet, your grandparents know how to start a fire, but you don't have a fire. You extend, with the more technology, you extend yourself, and it becomes more fragile. You might be able to do stuff faster, but you become less self-reliant. So if those grids go down, you can't, like, now you don't, if you don't know how to fix your car, you always go to the mechanic.
Right.
Your car breaks down during, societal problems.
So let me ask you one more question before we kind of finish up. If there's one thing you could do differently that would have changed your life for, absolutely for the better, if there's anything, if there's not, no worries. Is there anything you would have done differently that you would kind of impart that kind of insight to someone younger than you?
I think would have spoke up more and just asked more questions about, certain things. Not try to, do things on my own as much, and I feel like I would have fought harder to surround myself around more people like myself more, and versus, trying to adapt to the people around me.
You're flexible, yeah.
Yeah, man, because, man, as I got older, and even now, even still, I'm coming to find out, man, that the very thing that makes you unique, or the very thing that makes you stand out, or makes you feel like an outcast, that very thing that makes you feel like you don't belong, can be your very thing that makes you excel. Like, excel, bro. Do you hear what I'm telling you? Like, take you to new heights that you never thought that you would go. The thing, like nobody likes to feel like an outsider. Nobody likes to feel like an outcast. But little did you know that very thing that makes you an outsider, or the very thing that makes you an outcast, can be inspiring to so many people. And you have no idea. Yeah. You have no idea who's watching you. You have no idea who's it's crazy, bro. It's just crazy, man. And I feel like these are things that I'm learning as I get older, and I feel like it's things that are just coming in the light. And I never really had a huge circle, bro. My circle was always pretty small for the most part, and I feel like in a lot of ways that kind of helped me, or kind of kept me from certain things. Yeah, I had some friends that I had no business calling friends. I had no business, I had some people I was around that I had no business being around. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they didn't have my best interests at heart. They didn't have my best interests at heart. So I think if people are not so afraid to be alone, or be an outcast, or be different, or whatever the case is, if people aren't so afraid to be and sit with themselves, or be comfortable with themselves in their own skin, man, bro, like, that just makes you so lethal, bro. That makes you so lethal, so unique. Oh my gosh, just thinking about it, man. But you know what? It's never too late. It's never too late to do that. You don't have to, you ain't got to be young. Yeah. You don't have to be, you ain't got to be a kid. You can be, in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and make a decision. You know, it's never too late to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
never.
Someone like the same guy who said to me, you have until we get home to sulk. He, hold on. Just lost my train of thought. Oh, he's like, I don't care what kind of man you think you are, how much of a man you think you are. The time to start being a man is today. And if you become a man today, you're going to wake up tomorrow, and the time to become a man is going to be that moment.
Yeah.
And like, you can be the man for 5 years straight, and something happens, and you kind of, there's a
You buckle.
desire to tap out. Yeah.
You
You're
buckle.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
And
decide to stop being a man.
And
Or
and
punk
you
out.
know what? You might punk out for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Mm.
Doesn't mean today
Each
is
day
the
you have
day.
that opportunity.
Yeah, it doesn't mean today. Doesn't mean like 5 o'clock comes and you're done
Every
with
day
work.
you wake up, is an opportunity, man.
And I always say this, like, you know, this is it's the same concept that goes with, like, I'm going to tie this to two things. One, it's like my faith, right? I didn't say a prayer and I became a Christian and I'm good for life. No, it's a daily choice.
Ongoing process.
It is an ongoing process. I am
Ongoing
constantly
process.
learning. I am constantly rededicating my life to Christ. In the morning, I wake up and I'm just angry. I don't want to go to work, and I have to like look outside and see the beauty in things, and remind myself of who God is and recommit. And here's the same thing goes with my earthly father as well. There'll be times like my father, you know, said something or he did something. I have all these grievances, right? And at a certain point, I realized, you know what? It's just better that I just forgive him. And I forgave him. I moved on, and I was at peace. Some time went by. I didn't think about my dad. Life happened. He texted me on my birthday. Why is he texting me? Like, what is this? Really? Like, you've been out of my life for so long,
Right?
And now you're gonna text. And then I realized, like, why are you so upset? Because you're holding grievances. Does that mean I didn't forgive him like 6 months ago? No, it means I have to decide to do it again. This isn't just my relationship with my father; it's my relationships with everyone. You know, and that's just part of being a man. That's part of being a growing person.
I'm telling you, man, you preaching better than I'm shouting, man.
No.
Preaching better than I'm shouting
Yeah.
right now, man. No, man, I totally understand, man, and you know, I think that's a reconfirmation for me, man, on some things, man, because, you know, I'm not gonna lie, man. You know, I can think of some situations that, you know, people have done me wrong, but I have to constantly remind myself I am not perfect. I don't do right by everybody else. Yeah. So, you know, who am I to say that this person isn't worthy of my forgiveness or worthy of, you know, at least my respect?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, to forgive somebody who's, you know, not in your mind, not worthy of your forgiveness. You know what I mean? That's something that we would probably call grace. You know what I mean? Everybody deserves it, man. Now, you know, some people feel like, you know, there's things that you do that, I can never forgive them. You know, you got people out here that have been molested, you know, and they feel like they just can't, there's no way they can get over or, you know, forgive that person. You go through those kind of things, man. It does something to you psychologically, especially if you haven't forgiven. It does things to you psychologically. So there's that natural desire to want to push people away who try to get close to you. And it's hard to get in relationships when they, you know, try to get close to you because of certain things that have taken place, man. So, you know, it's one of those things, man. Emotions are real. Feelings, they're real, you know, but at the end of the day, they're just feelings. So we can let those feelings control our life and control what direction we go in for the rest of our lives. Or we can make the decision, okay, this is where I want to go. And I know that if I want to get here, I got to put that feeling aside. I have to set it aside, regardless of what it feels like.
I think that kind of taps out. We're at an hour and 16 now.
That's great, man, because I've been having to go to the bathroom for the last 50. No, I'm just playing, man.
For like the past half hour, this guy's going to keep yammering.
I was joking.
Yammering. Come on.
I was joking, man.
No, as we kind of wrap out, you got any final thoughts, and then I'll kind of end us out?
Man, I appreciate you just giving me the opportunity to sit with you guys, man. And this is bro. We got to do this again.
Absolutely. We, you know, I've got no issue double dipping if you know what I mean. So
in the barbecue sauce.
In the barbecue sauce, heck yeah. Wes,
No,
you got
man.
anything else?
No, man. No. Like I said, it was definitely a blessing to be able to sit here and interact with you guys. And
You said at the beginning, it's like, I don't know if we were recording yet, but you said like this is going to be kind of therapy for you.
that's what I was just getting ready to say. It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
So that is a for me, that's an added bonus. But my hope in that bringing you on is that it's therapeutic for a lot more people than just you. And I don't think I'd be wrong to say that I think you have an attitude of wanting to serve others.
Yeah.
So I really hope that this podcast reaches just one person and it helps him him or her get through something.
Man,
I think we'd agree it was.
That would be that would be a blessing, man. I definitely would. That would be a blessing, man, to be able to bless somebody, even if it's just one person, man. I feel like there's always somebody who needs to hear your testimony or hear what you've been through, man. Because a lot of times the odds are against you, man. And I mean, people want to act like we live in the best country. People want to act like we live in the best world, But at the end of the day, man, we live in an imperfect world, imperfect country with imperfect people in it, man. And that's just the reality of it. But the fact that we can acknowledge and admit that it's imperfect, you know what I mean? The fact that when we can admit and we can be honest with ourselves, that's where it all starts.
And we can admit we have work to do.
1K,
right?
1K, 1,000%.
I would say last thoughts. Going back a little bit, you asked about what would you ask somebody who's younger, or what would you tell somebody who's younger? So this is something I thought about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago after, getting out of the situation with my parents. They got divorced, and it was always like, they did this to me, he said that, she said this, back and forth. And I kind of thought about why do I feel the way I do about my dad? Because every time I even just try to be like, oh, I'm not blaming you. I just want you to know, when this thing happened growing up, this is how I felt. I felt abandoned by you or all that kind of stuff. And he would just be like, oh no, man, I was depressed, and any other father would have had, not done as good a job as me.
Did you and your dad have that conversation? You guys actually talked about it? Or?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
So that was when I was 18 or so. It was one of the last times I tried to, we were in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, this is, what I've been thinking about. I just want to talk about this, because I feel like we never talked about it before.
Yeah.
Just did a whole bunch of different stuff growing up.
Yeah.
A couple of years of distance from it. I was like, okay, so why do I feel the way I do about my dad? And what did my dad do, and what could he have done differently? How me wanting to be a dad, what can I do differently? Because I'm sure he's told me that he had a rough upbringing. He was like, I don't want to be like my dad. So okay, well, that's how I feel. So I don't want to. Something's going on there, because I don't want to repeat that. So I came to the conclusion. I think my dad looked at his dad and he was like, well, this is what he did wrong. I'm not going to do that. And then he stopped there.
And then stopped there.
So, for example, his dad was physically violent against him.
Right.
His dad never said, I love you.
Right.
So for us, he said, I love you a lot, but it felt like a checkbox. Hello, son, I love you. And I'm like, that felt very not real.
Mm-hmm.
Or instead of being violent, he would throw stuff, he'd break stuff, he would scream at us. So it was violence, but with words instead of fists. So I think my dad asked decent questions, and then he stopped. He said, what does a bad dad do? I won't do that. He never said, what does a good dad do? He didn't go with the next step.
Yeah.
So not ask questions and keep asking questions. Ask the right questions.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any final thoughts. I kind of put everything out there that I was thinking. So I think we'll just kind of conclude and call it a wrap. Mosi, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
And
thanks for having me.
We'll look forward to round 2 someday.
Most definitely.
Bring the barbecue.
Yeah, bring the barbecue sauce, everyone. And thanks again, everyone, for listening. Again, you can subscribe on our Twitter, Instagram, follow us on all major podcast platforms. I'm not sure if we have Apple up yet, but I'm sure we will.
I haven't checked. We requested, and I know we're on Spotify and stuff like that already.
So,
Mosi, any place you want to plug Instagram or anything?
My Snapchat is Mosi 247. That's MOSI 247. That's my Snap. My IG, I have it still up. I just haven't posted any new pictures. I'm getting ready to post all new pictures. My IG is Trinidad Prince. That's TRINIDAD Prince.
Formerly known as.
Mosi. That's yeah.
No.
So no, I called myself Trinidad Prince because I really did feel like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I'm Trinidadian. I'm Haitian and Trinidadian. So I just felt like it kind of fit well, man. And yeah, man. And then amongst other reasons, you know what I mean. I just felt like Trinidad Prince fit. You know what I mean. But I feel like I'm a king in the making. There's only really one king though. You know what I'm saying. As far as what my beliefs, yeah. But yeah. But yeah, man.
Elvis?
Yeah. Good one.